But when you have Matthew McConaughey or as Dave Meltzer, did you hear Dave Meltzer talking about like the rappers? He's like, oh, there's too many of those guys sitting in the front row. Did you hear that shit? And he's calling Quavo Cuervo. It was like, I got such a laugh out of that. The guy's such an old idiot.
He is. He's been doing this for far too long. I want him to just hang it up. Appreciate you opening the doors for us young folks to be doing this.
Yeah, man.
But it is time for you to hang it up, Dave, which I have mentioned that. I just feel like Dave is just one of those people that just feel like he's still relevant. And to be honest, as long as you have someone like a Sean Ross Sapp around, as long as you have someone like a Denise around, even though she's not really into the dirt sheet stuff, which is a whole nother conversation, because I feel like the dirt sheets I think it's
messy, bro. It's messy.
It's very messy.
And it's not about wrestling a lot of the time to where I'm like,
no.
Not for me,
No, definitely not. But I feel like, WWE has found a solution to that problem, because for a long time, contract negotiations was our business. Who didn't like who backstage became our business. All the locker room talk, things that we wouldn't normally know unless we worked for the company, became our business. And I feel like after WWE got rid of all the moles, those that was talking too much, I think they said, how can we use these websites to our advantage? How can we use them to allow them to think that they are still in control when they're really not? And I think that's when they said, well, how about this? How about we start feeding them different bits and pieces of storylines? Maybe we'll say that these two people are feuding, Bianca and Jade. Maybe we'll say that they're not getting along, and then Jade gets injured. Now everybody think Bianca may have attacked Jade, and maybe that feeds to the storyline. Same thing recently with the Street Profits. You had Dawkins walk around with crutches all day out there in Indiana. What did the websites do? They wrote about him being injured. He had these crutches. And what did he do? He used the same exact crutches to attack Motor City Machine Gun and DIY at the Royal Rumble. So I feel that they are being used to the advantage of WWE, the same way how it couldn't be spoiled that Duke Hudson was fired a whole month ago. The websites found out at the same time as we did, rather than the wrestlers finding out that they was being fired by the websites. Because at one point, the wrestlers didn't even know that they was being fired. They had to find out through the websites that they had been let go.
So speaking of which, Duke Hudson was released from WWE. Like no one's talking about this. I don't even know if I even talked about it on my show, to be honest. He was in Chase U. He was a prominent figure in that faction. Obviously, like him, Andre Chase, and like Thea Hale were the three most prominent. Now, why was Duke Hudson released? Why? Do you have insight on that? Like, what happened? Did he not make the Stooge test or what?
From what I've read, which isn't too privy information, it can be found online. It's just he wasn't main roster material. They just didn't feel like it. But also he released a little video where he kind of like poked fun at himself a little bit. And he kind of shared that it wasn't like a group release like with Indy and Baron Corbin and Tia Knox. He was release by himself. So it wasn't like a budget cut, but it was just a matter of, I guess they just felt like he
Contract is up, or well, it said he was
couldn't cut the
released, so
cheese.
they cut him though, I think, because it did say he was released there, but that's Wikipedia. They could have that info wrong. But wow, I didn't even realize he was. I was wondering where that guy was.
Yeah,
And luckily, Andre
yeah.
Chase still has a job.
Right, you know. And I like Duke. I thought he was a great. Last we saw him, I think he was feuding with Ridge Holland. And yeah, he just kind of disappeared, but it wasn't so noticeable that we thought maybe something happened. We thought, you know, like most people are not on TV every week, so maybe he was injured, he'll come back. But you know, hindsight is always 2020, and now that I think about it, they never mentioned that he was out on an injury. So I guess now that we think about it, it's like, yeah, he just kind of disappeared off of TV, you know, but he didn't go blabbering to none of the websites. No one blabbered to the websites to let them know that he was fired. So when the websites did find out, they found out due to WWE telling them, which was a whole month later. And then that's when he released his video shortly after the news broke. So it was a very quiet release. And I think that's just going to be the new normal now. It's not going to be people finding out that they was fired off Twitter. Like, I'm trying to remember who it was.
Well, I had Killer Kelly on the show, for instance, and even like in TNA, the Dirt Sheets ran with a story because they just didn't put her graphic on the website or something when they did the updates, and then they're like, "Oh, Killer Kelly not on the website. Is she released?" Da da da. And then she went all the way up to like the head honchos, basically, to be like, do I have my job or not? And they're like, no, you're all good. Like, these are just dirt sheets messing up, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So just the way some of that stuff, like some of that rumor and innuendo, it can affect people, but we all do like the hot goss and all of that. But it's just so funny to me how they have all these sources. Everyone's got all these sources, right? But they never have the right details till after shit happens. And they don't even know, like, Duke Hudson's gone, or Paige comes out and goes, yeah, my contract's up in September, and she just says it flat out to TMZ, and it's like, where were all you scoops, you know, all you motherfuckers then, like, getting the scoop then, like, nobody even knew any of that. So kind of funny.
Even the news about Charlotte and Andrade, even though I wouldn't expect them to know that, because that isn't wrestling, that is their personal live and their personal divorce. But you know, it's just high time that things like this is starting to slow down, you know, instead of, I blame TMZ.
Yeah,
I'm from that
they
era.
changed the culture. They
changed the trajectory of journalism forever, where everyone has to be the first one to break the news. Damn if it's true, damn if it's not. We just want to be the first ones to get it out there. There's such a lack of integrity when it comes down to that. Yes, we all indulge in the gossip. I might read it. You might even see me briefly talk about it on Twitter, but to actually sit and record myself talking about it, no. I just feel like there's way too many people doing it anyway. I just don't want to be a part of that pack. You know.
Yeah, or like being the person to try and break the headlines. See, what I like to do is I just react to it all on my live show, and I just give you my thoughts on what people are saying, and I just keep everybody up to date with what's going on in as much of wrestling as I can. And then I dive into the stuff that I feel is really important. And luckily as well, people like my reviews and things like that. So I'm fortunate, but I don't ever want to be the guy breaking a headline either.
Yeah, which
So
I think the
yeah,
way you do it is absolutely fine. I feel that some people, it's like you said, some people want to be the first ones to say it. They want to insert their personal opinions on it instead of just having like a professional review on the situation. Just like you said, just to update your viewers, your listeners, and
yeah,
then to leave it at that. But there's a very thin line between doing that, which I feel is conscionable, compared to those who kind of get too invested
yeah,
in these wrestlers' lives. And it's quite a few of them that do it. So,
yeah.
you know,
Oscar was just getting stalked. We were talking about that in
yes.
hot news